Happy Wednesday, everybody. Sam Shapiro back here with more of your Heat latest on FanArc. If you haven't checked out our channel already, stop what you're doing right now. Drop a sub and don't forget to like this video. We've got great daily Miami Heat content right here every day, Monday through Friday. And today we're going to kick things off talking all things Kai Jones, the 6'11", 220 power forward center working out with Miami on Monday. Very exciting to see the 305 entertaining the idea of bringing a guy like this into the front court that's really needed depth and has been a high talking point for an add-on for Miami all summer long. So although Vlad Golden definitely proving himself in the summer league, not just on the rebounding front, but also making big plays in the summer league, he's got a little bit of a threat in terms of who Miami could bring in as another piece to permanently add to Miami's front court. Jones not eligible for a two-way contract just because of how things have panned out with the Clippers and the Mavericks, respectively, but really contributing to a front court that suffered more over the past season in the Dallas Mavericks, averaging roughly 11 points per game and 6 rebounds in a 12-game stretch on about 21 minutes on the floor during that stretch. It's very promising to see a young guy like this, a former first-round pick from the 2021 NBA draft, now being in a serious conversation for potentially taking a full-time roster spot with the Miami Heat. And I just think that if you're looking at guys that could potentially add some depth to a part in Miami's team that has really needed a little bit of more of a supporting cast, this is definitely a guy that should seriously be considered. And it's nice to see that Miami is actually entertaining that and working him out and actually evaluating if he would be a good fit with the team going into the regular season. So drop in the comments if you think that Vlad Golden or Kai Jones which one would be a better add for Miami going into the regular season, or who could help the front court of this team permanently in the grand scheme of things. Like I said, I think Kai Jones, because of what he's kind of just showed playing with the Mavericks, definitely speaks a lot of volumes, but maybe I would give the edge to Vlad Golden just a little bit because of how he's proven himself with the organization, even if it's mostly just through the summer league at this point in time. So moving over to another player that's been in deep trade talks with Miami pretty much since he's been dealt to Miami since the trade deadline, Andrew Wiggins. It's now been confirmed, at least from some reports I've seen, that the Milwaukee Bucks were trying to pursue a serious trade for the former number 1 overall pick over the last few months. And Miami basically, time and time again said, we're not shopping Wiggins. But apparently we're in conversations with the Bucks about potentially dealing Andrew there. And I'm glad that they didn't. They were very adamant about getting an impact now type of player to go along with first-round draft assets before 2028. You really need those if you're Miami, especially because you lost that first-round 2027 pick in the deal for Rozier. So because of that, I definitely think it was good that Miami put their foot down and was at least on the forefront being like, we're not going to give up Wiggins unless it's for a serious type of package. The only deal that I could see Miami at least getting from Milwaukee where they come out really benefiting would be in a major blockbuster deal for Giannis Antetokounmpo, but we're on planet Earth, not in fantasy land. So I don't think that was necessarily going to happen because Miami very adamant about giving up draft assets and giving up multiple players for superstars, as we've seen over the course of this offseason. So again, very happy that Miami decided to put their foot down and not give up Wiggins in some trade where they were getting less for Wiggins in case, I pictured more of like a Kyle Kuzma and first-round pick for Wiggins and, maybe like a bench player and a second-round pick. And I don't think that would have been a good deal for Miami at all. I don't think Wiggins is just a good scorer. I think he's a great athletic player on both sides of the ball. And if you take him off that Golden State Warriors team, they don't necessarily beat Boston because of how he was able to crash the boards in that series. And I definitely think, he's not going to be rebounding is not going to be the entirety of his game on Miami, but that athleticism is going to be centered around what he is able to do on both sides of the ball, and I think that's going to cater to Heat culture very, very well, and I think he's going to be a great piece for Miami going at least into the beginning of this regular season, not going to be kind of like a Terry Rozier experiment where in terms of efficiency kind of falls off a little bit. I think he's going to be a pretty prowess part of both the offense and the defense. And I'm excited that Miami didn't really want to pursue a trade with Milwaukee because I don't think they were able to get the value that he is worth out of that team. Kyle Kuzma is just, in my opinion, that would have been ridiculous. I think that would have been a little bit of a silly trade. And like I said, didn't settle for less value for the type of player he truly is. But anyway, moving over to another player that's been in conversations all throughout this offseason with Miami. Now talking about Tyler Herro once again, but not in the subject of being traded or signing a contract extension. In this case, he was completely snubbed by or at least NBA 2K26, not being on the top 10 3-point shooting list, or at least out of the 10 top rated players in the game right now. He is not one of them. And I think if you win the NBA 3-point shootout competition, you kind of are at least shooing yourself in the top 7. I cannot believe he was not included on the top 10 overall list this past season. And just quite honestly, a little bit ridiculous to see some of the names that were listed ahead of him on that list so far. I mean, obviously Curry being number 1, no surprise there, but seeing the likes of Grayson Allen, Luke Kennard, Sam Hauser all being ahead of him with 87 overall 3-point shooting ratings, that's absolutely ridiculous to me. How do you not have the winner of the NBA 3-point shooting contest ahead of those guys? And how do those guys only have 87? I mean, Anthony Edwards is 10th on the list, also at 87. But Anthony Edwards is also an amazing 3-point shooter, and I think should have also been a little bit higher on that list too. Herro's rating ended up capping out at 84 from what I saw, and it's just like, to me, that's absolutely ridiculous, and I think he got absolutely snubbed. One of the more efficient 3-point shooters, the best 3-point shooter on Miami right now, and just the fact that he wasn't in the top 5, I just think is stupid, to be completely honest with you. I don't know what goes into factoring the exact ratings. Again, not surprised. Curry, 99 at the top of the list. Kevin Durant, number 2, but only at a 91. I would have put him at a 95, but hey, maybe that's just me. And then Klay Thompson at number 3 at an 89. He's at least a 90. He's one of the best catch and shoot players in the league, even going through the injuries he went through and now being a little bit older. So drop in the comments if you think Tyler Herro got snubbed. He should have maybe been in the top 5, the top 7, or even on the top 10 list at all. Or maybe I'm just spewing smoke out of my mouth and maybe he just doesn't deserve to be on the list at all. Tell me in the comments if you think this list by 2K26 a little bit blasphemous, and if it's ridiculous or not that Herro is not starting out in 2K26 as one of the top 10 3-point shooters in the NBA according to NBA 2K2026 or NBA 2K26. I think it's ridiculous. But hey, that's just me. And now moving over to some recent news that was announced by Miami yesterday. They're going to be kicking off their preseason overseas in Puerto Rico against the Orlando Magic on October 4th. Both teams making the announcement yesterday. And it's just very exciting to see Miami, one, making that announcement, but two, the ability to have NBA games in general go overseas, being at the doorsteps of fans all across the world, giving them the opportunity to be more up close and personal to NBA basketball like that in an NBA type of environment where it's a preseason game like that. Granted, you're seeing players that are not maybe at the headlines of mainstream media or are talked about as world-class players every single day, but it's just exciting to see, some of these teams want to expand the viewing audience that is available to NBA talent, especially before the season gets kicked off underway. And again, just seeing both teams kind of make that announcement in conjunction yesterday, just a really nice, exciting thing to see. Now, Miami, after they play the Magic, they're going to be suiting up against the Milwaukee Bucks on October 6th. And then followed by that, they're going to be playing the Spurs on October 8th. And then following that, they're going to play the Memphis Grizzlies on October 17th. So again, very exciting to see them cap off their preseason schedule against the Orlando Magic in Puerto Rico, giving other, audiences across the world an opportunity to be more up close and personal to NBA type of environments and NBA talent in the form of those games. And especially, acquiring international players from really all over the world. This past year, it kind of caters more to trying to, it definitely puts a positive undertone to wanting to expand who the NBA is and who can really have access to it and who is going to watch it really all over the world. It really just, I personally feel bolsters that message a little bit more. And it's nice that they want to share a little bit of the NBA magic with people, not just in America, but, all over the world. Like I've kind of just said over and over again. So it'll be nice to see them tip off the beginning of their preseason overseas in Puerto Rico against the Orlando Magic, hoping they come out on top in that game. But that's going to do it for today's episode of Your Heat Latest. Be sure to like this video and of course, subscribe to our channel for all great daily content pertaining to your Miami Heat. Thanks again so much for joining us. I'm Sam Shapiro, and have a great Wednesday.